Hello everyone, Lucifer Morningstar here. Today I explained a movie named The Signal from 2014. Soon, ocean levels rise in view of quick environmental change, and humankind chooses to move to space. They assemble covers among Earth and Moon's orbital planes, and go through many years moving most residents there. After mankind has settled down, covers 8, 12, and 13 announce themselves the Adrian Republic. And they start going after different havens, starting off many years of battle with the unified power. Presently the people left on Earth need to live structure weapons and parts for the robots utilized in this conflict. The best warrior in the military is the unbelievable commander Jung E, who is right now in a neglected town and awakening from a blast. There are robots coming after her, and she promptly shields herself with exact shots and innovative utilization of the snare that accompanies her weapon. The humanoid robots are simple for her to overcome, yet soon another sturdier model on 4 legs shows up, which will be more earnestly to battle alone. Yun Jung-yi picks vital concealing spots and shocks the robot with a shot that lights it ablaze, yet the robot has its own arrangement of dowsers, and is before long all set once more. Utilizing the snare, Jung Yi heaps a lot of metal shafts together and drops them on top of the robot when it draws nearer, really catching it. Then, at that point, she takes cover behind a vehicle to do her last shot, just to get diverted by a little doll holding tight the vehicle's back reflect. This interruption permits the robot to shoot her first, and Jung Yi is pushed back. Yet when she sees her wrecked hand, she finds she's an android and had barely any insight into it. Unexpectedly a caution rings and the town vanishes. It turns out this isn't the genuine Jung Yi. She really passed on in battle a long time back. Presently a gathering of researchers is utilizing a duplicate of her cerebrum to attempt to make the ideal trooper android that could be increased and shipped off war. There hasn't been a lot of progress on the grounds that during the reproductions, which reproduce Jung Yi's last fight, she generally loses in similar spot, and they don't have the foggiest idea why. The top of the group is Jung Yi's own little girl web optimization Hyun, who needs to watch the substance of her mom pass on again and again. There's likewise Sang-hoon, the head of the venture, who chooses to make a unique show for the higher-ups of the military to advance their android, which they're calling Jung E. Sang-hoon's show incorporates extravagant feasting and a synopsis of the set of experiences behind the conflict. However, the troopers are exhausted by this and believe that he should quick forward through what they definitely know. The video makes sense of how they're planning Jung Yi's brain cortex and switching it over completely to information to foster the most exceptional battle order man-made intelligence ever. Then, at that point, website design enhancement Hyun exhibits how the reenactments have been recording standards of conduct. Anyway, the officers notice the android hasn't gotten away from the reenactment yet. And that's what the whole point is. On the off chance that Jung Yi hadn't lost that fight, they would have proactively won the conflict. Until the group doesn't settle Jung Yi's last misstep, the public authority won't be keen on financing this undertaking. After the show is finished, search engine optimization Hyun and Sang-hoon have a gathering in private. Sang-hoon reminds search engine optimization Hyun that she has his full help, and that the executive anticipates extraordinary things from her. He began working for the director a decade prior. However, he realizes web optimization Hyun was taken in when she was a tiny bit of young lady that lost her mom, so it makes a difference to Sang-hoon to have a decent working relationship with her. A short time later, web optimization Hyun works with beginner Kang to see what's the issue with their most recent model. The excess pieces of Jung Yi are stirred, and since the cerebrum actually thinks as human, the phony Jung Yi goes ballistic at seeing herself as a robot and starts anguishing in torment. Website optimization Hyun quickly switches off the agony sensors, permitting Jung Yi to go for rage all things considered, and she requests to understand how they treated her. It appears to be this duplicate of the mind is excessively harmed to continue to chip away at it, so website optimization Hyun orders its annihilation. Presently they're finished for the afternoon. Kang takes the risk to communicate that he is so eager to work here, since he's forever been a major devotee of Jung Yi, calling her a legend. Website design enhancement Hyun makes sense of that. Jung Yi never needed to be a legend, she just joined the conflict as a hired soldier to pay for web optimization Hyun's medicines, since when she was a youngster, they tracked down a growth in her lungs. She cried each time her mom waged war, and the day of her medical procedure was additionally the day her mom passed on. At times search engine optimization Hyun contemplates whether her mom laments making such a penance and loathes her for it, making Kang bring up she could simply ask the android, since she shares the genuine Jung Yi's recollections. Website design enhancement Hyun says she'll think about it. However, it appears to be she's frightened to attempt. Then, at that point, website design enhancement Hyun leaves for the afternoon and takes the neighborhood train, where she sees a mother collaborating with her kid. This causes her to recollect the last day she saw her own mom. Website design enhancement Hyun had been preparing for a medical procedure, and Jung-yi dropped by to wish her best of luck prior to leaving for the fight to come. Jung-yi had guaranteed she would return and embraced website optimization Hyun firmly, giving him a fortunate cheek rub. At the point when the train comes to its objective, web optimization Hyun goes to take her yearly morals test that everybody should take to demonstrate they aren't an android, comprising of inquiries connected with sentiments and ethics. A while later, she goes to see her PCP, who unfortunately affirms the growth is back in her lungs and she just has 3 months left. This implies the medical procedure she has as a kid and her mom's penance had been to no end. The specialist brings up the best strategy is duplicate her cerebrum immediately and move it over to a prosthetic body, since regulations safeguard individuals that do this these days. Anyway, they just safeguard individuals that do this with type A, which is extraordinarily costly. There's additionally type B, which is less expensive however loses privileges like marriage, opportunity of development, and reception, and the public authority requires consistence that she will permit them to get to her mind information. Or on the other hand she could pick type C, which doesn't regard individuals as people by any means. It gives up responsibility for mind information, permitting insured organizations to possess it. This implies they'll make large number of clones, and the individual utilizing this choice will presently not be an individual, yet essentially the prosthetic is free. Type C is what Jung-yi had decided to get the medical procedure cash for her little girl. Website design enhancement Hyun guarantees she'll consider it and passes on the specialist to re-energize in light of the fact that he's an android too. As search engine optimization Hyun leaves the structure, she recollects the day the organization's higher-ups came to her home and requested that her grandma consent to the arrangement that would permit them to utilize Jung-yi's mind on androids. Consequently, they'd pay for website design enhancement Hyun's childhood. They likewise gifted website design enhancement Hyun an activity figure of Jung-yi, promising that her mom would be a legend everlastingly. Yet right up to the present day, web optimization Hyun is as yet uncertain that was the best choice. Website design enhancement Hyun closes her day by visiting her mom's out-cold body, which is kept in an extraordinary chamber, so the cerebrum won't decay. The following day, search engine optimization Hyun's group makes another duplicate of the mind and prepares to test it on another recreation. Yet, first Sang-hoon believes that should do something else to attempt to come by another outcome, and he arranges the group to shoot the android in the leg before they start. At the point when Jung-yi awakens in the reproduction, she experiences extraordinary agony, the leg wound, and it harms search engine optimization Hyun to see how her mom endures. Jung-yi attempts to battle through the agony, yet she's effectively overwhelmed, and her will to battle begins to go down. Anyway, when the foe is going to kill her, another region in her mind illuminates, and Jung-yi rises up to continue battling, figuring out how to overcome the robot with simply her clench hands before she has chance by an alternate foe. A pity they've lost this new mind as of now. However, Sang-hoon is energized by this turn of events and is prepared to show it off to the higher-ups. The following day, the entire group passes on the labs and goes to the organization's central command. However, the administrator isn't accessible. Rather, they're met by the new top of the item advancement division, who continues to laugh at Sang-hoon and not treating him in a serious way. Sang-hoon is confounded by the requirement for an item improvement division, since they never had one preceding, since the organization just delivers weapons, and he stresses over the likelihood that weapons improvement will be scaled back. However, his interests aren't heard, and the group is sent away without replies. On the excursion back to the labs, Sang-hoon continues to affront the new worker and swears he'll keep the executive's fantasy alive. Occasionally later, the group is taking a gander at the new parts they could use for their next android test. When they're educated, the director has come to see them. En route to the gathering, Sang-hoon inquires as to whether website optimization Hyun has been taking her morals test, since they should be certain she's doing fine intellectually, while managing her own mom as an examination. When the pair enters the workplace, Sang-hoon freezes, uncovering he's really an android that the executive worked by repeating his own mind. However, Sang-hoon can't really understand. The executive has come to bring vital news. The unified power and the Adrian Republic are marking a settlement, meaning the conflict is finished and weapons will not be required any longer. He doesn't consider the exploration they did on Jung E futile, however, in light of the fact that it's shown them a ton about growing great AIs, and they can utilize it now to make housekeeping and administration specialist androids. The director admits his unique arrangement was to move his genuine cerebrum into Sang-hoon to accomplish eternality. Yet eventually, he duplicated it rather on the grounds that he didn't set out to live inside a machine, which could feel constantly phony. Web optimization Hyun doesn't mind how counterfeit it very well might be. She needs to go on with her mom's undertaking. Yet the executive turns down her solicitation. A couple of hours after the fact, the group returns to work, since the undertaking should be wrapped up appropriately before they change objectives. Yun-yi continues to color at a similar spot, and Sang-hoon becomes irate on the grounds that they can't initiate that new cerebrum region again to seclude it, so he believes it's the ideal opportunity for a few outrageous thoughts. Sang-hoon causes the group to actuate the android and cut her arm. In this manner, website optimization Hyun needs to watch her endure, as the agony region of her mind arrives at unbearable levels. The new mind region actually won't illuminate, however, and a frantic Sang-hoon attempts to shoot the android's legs, close to match the injury from a day or two ago. Web optimization Hyun at last snaps and switches the framework off to stop Yun-yi's misery, making an infuriated Sang-hoon compromise her with his weapon. This isn't sufficient to startle web optimization Hyun, and she holds fast. Yet before Sang-hoon can go excessively far, another worker comes to illuminate and the administrator needs to see him. Sang-hoon leaves without a word, and web optimization Hyun says, thanks to her group for all their work. Now is the right time to close down the task. Yet she requests that they gather every one of the information they've gathered and send it to her. In a little while, website design enhancement Hyun disregards the aggravation she's inclination in her lungs and focuses on checking the information out. Incredibly, somebody has traded her mom's cerebrum one final time without her knowing. Search engine optimization Hyun goes to explore, and when she strolls by Jae Kyung's room, she hears a few devious commotions and advances inside. What she finds there, it's really upsetting. Jae Kyung had been getting lively with another android intended to carry out messy things, yet wearing Yun-yi's face. Subsequent to covering the android with a cover, an incensed website optimization Hyun pushes Jae Kyung against the racks and put downs him for being a deviant. Yet Jae Kyung makes sense of he was simply following requests. Incidentally, making family AIs incorporates making sidekicks equipped for closeness, and since Yun-yi was so well known, individuals would pay huge cash to have her as their better half. All things considered, Yun-yi's persona is type C, meaning she can be utilized by anybody. Crushed by the news, website design enhancement Hyun leaves the room in tears, acknowledging how she ought to have been seen this approaching when they gifted her very own activity figure dead mother. After a second, web optimization Hyun is back in the lab to invest energy with the android before the task is removed. Sang-hoon is as of now there, experiencing misery since he assumes he lost the director's trust, and that is the reason their undertaking got dropped. Website optimization Hyun disregards him and enters the android chamber, awakening her in the wake of closing down the agony sensors. When she has Yun-yi's consideration, website design enhancement Hyun tells her they've saved her from the adversary, and that she's incredibly injured. Accordingly, she'll help her pass on calmly. At the point when web optimization Hyun is going to switch her off, the cerebrum region they had been searching for at last lights up again as Yun-yi inquires as to whether her little girl endure the medical procedure. Website optimization Hyun starts crying as she understands that twice the cerebrum region responded in light of the fact that Yun-yi accepted she would kick the bucket without being familiar with her girl, and she tells her the medical procedure was a triumph, so she can continue on in harmony. Yun-yi is feeling significantly better to hear this, and concedes she's been feeling remorseful on the grounds that during the fight, she lost the little doll her girl gifted her prior to leaving for the medical procedure, which should be a lucky trinket. That is the reason she generally loses at a similar spot. What diverts her is seeing the little doll in the vehicle and being spooky by the culpability. Not having the option to hear this any longer, web optimization Hyun switches her off and has a full breakdown, shouting with her own culpability. When that is out of her chest, she understands there is something final she can do. The following day, website design enhancement Hyun solicitations to do a last recreation prior to closing things down. She tells the other colleagues she'll set things up alone, and whenever they're gone, web optimization Hyun erases the unidentified piece of Yun-yi's mind. Then she continues to murmur in her ear, making sense of the relative multitude of frightful things that will happen to her after the last reenactment is finished in the event that they don't follow through with something. At the point when the last recreation begins, Jung-yi goes through the typical fight strategies and bites the dust in a similar spot. Not surprisingly, Kang recognizes a few unusual readings demonstrating the cerebrum's reaction was more vulnerable. However, Seo-hyun doesn't mind on the grounds that the undertaking is over in any case. Different representatives remove the android, and Seo-hyun starts advancing toward his room when he unexpectedly acknowledges he additionally saw something bizarre. He surges back to the lab and requests the reenactment to be replayed in sluggish movement. This permits him to affirm Jung-yi hadn't really been shot, she just imagined she had and fell on the standard spot. Seo-hyun quickly actuates the alert, and Jung-yi responds by taking out the representatives that were removing her. While everybody prepares for crisis measures, web optimization Hyun runs once more into the lab and erases all the first venture information. Jung-yi looks for a method for getting away and runs over a room loaded up with many robots that seem to be her. Before she can deal with this, Seo-hyun's multitude of safety robots views as her, setting off a horrible battle. Yun-yi is an incredible contender for an explanation, however, and she effectively pounds them all. In any event, when a robot pushes her against an upkeep machine, she takes the risk to turn it against her aggressor. Out of nowhere, one of the robots exploits her vulnerable side and kicks her from behind prior to pushing her against the wall to kill her. At that point, web optimization Hyun at long last appears and debilitates the robot in the nick of time. Then she tells Jung-yi they're in the same boat, and Jung-yi confides in her, since it's the voice from her fantasies. Minutes after the fact, another rush of safety robots show up at the storage, and they permit an individual android to remove search engine optimization Hyun before they take shots at Jung-yi. Anyway, when they mine the body, they find Jung-yi's body is vacant. Checking the surveillance cameras uncovers web optimization. Hyun took the mine duplicate from the normal body and moved it to a security android to escape inconspicuous, abandoning the body with her mom's face to deceive security. Website design enhancement Hyun hauls Jung-yi into the train, just to find it isn't so vacant as she naturally suspected. Seo-hyun is there sitting tight for them. As the train takes off, Seo-hyun blames website optimization Hyun for being careless for all that the executives finished for herself, and advises Jung-yi to move back from her little girl. Hearing this as her daughter shocks Jung-yi. Yet search engine optimization Hyun slices in to make sense of she's erased every one of the information about herself from her memory, so she can have a new beginning with next to no more forfeits. As vengeance for demolishing the task, Seo-hyun shoots website optimization Hyun in the shoulder, provoking Jung-yi to go after him consequently and fire him with his own weapon. Seo-hyun rapidly rises up to continue to battle, however freezes when he sees his appearance in the window. The harm from the shot has uncovered his way of life as an android. Search engine optimization Hyun refers to him as the director's little toy, and this makes Seo-hyun go off the deep end. Presently he can initiate the capacities of his android body, and Seo-hyun assaults Jung-yi, beginning the battle that tosses their bodies all around the lodge and makes the train shake on the rails. In the wake of trading a couple of hits, Seo-hyun figures out how to push Jung-yi through the window, yet she gives up deliberately to slither around the train and re-emerge it through an alternate window. At that point, greater security robots show up on an equal train, and they connect the two carts together. They come after Jung-yi by going through the windows as well. However, Jung-yi experiences no difficulty overcoming them all with exact strikes. Seo-hyun exploits this interruption to get her with a snare, and when search engine optimization Hyun sees her mom in a difficult situation, she attempts to prevent the robot from going after her. The robot just drives website optimization Hyun away. However, seeing her little girl in peril rouses Jung-yi to turn out to be more forceful. She annihilates every one of the excess robots and removes Seo-hyun from the train. However, he figures out how to advance back inside by clutching the snare. As Seo-hyun and Jung-yi start battling once more, the train comes to the city, and the shaking of two appended carts turns out to be a lot for the tracks to bear. Website design enhancement Hyun figures out how to put her hands on one of the weapons the robots dropped and shoots a snare for Jung-yi to snatch. This way she assists her mom with getting back to the main cart securely, and they let the subsequent cart fall with Seo-hyun inside. The train at last quits working when it comes to the mountain region. Jung-yi needs to deal with web optimization Hyun's projectile injury, yet they can hear the police drawing nearer. So website design enhancement Hyun makes sense if she doesn't have a lot of time left in any case. She needs Jung-yi to take off and begin another life where she can at last stress over herself rather than her little girl. After some wavering, Jung-yi acknowledges this arrangement. However, first she expresses farewell by embracing website optimization Hyun and giving her a fortunate cheek rub, like when she was a kid. As Jung-yi leaves the train, web optimization Hyun wishes her best of luck and kicks the bucket alone. Yet feeling she's accomplished conclusion, Jung-yi goes through the mountains, away from any people that might need to utilize her again, to partake in her freshly discovered opportunity.